How can a single $500 drone neutralize $500 million in military assets? Russia's Southern Front learned the answer in a devastatingly swift operation. In just 94 seconds, a meticulously planned Ukrainian strike annihilated 2 million pounds of ammunition, eliminated 6 elite Russian infantrymen, and unraveled Moscow's plans on the eve of a crucial international summit. This is the account of how intelligence, precision, and ingenuity converged to execute one of the most consequential operations of the war. At 0400 local time, the operation began. The target was the Mariupol depot, a vital logistics hub supplying the Southern Front. Up to half of the small arms, artillery shells, and rockets flowing through the Zaporizhia-Crimea corridor. Ukrainian intelligence determined that Moscow was stockpiling a shipment intended to power a major offensive and timed the strike for maximum strategic effect, just days before a two-nation peace summit when the loss would both blunt the offensive and change the political calculus. The Malipole facility was not an easy mark. It was defended by layered, expensive systems, Panzer S-1 surface-to-air batteries, rapid-fire Zu-23 anti-aircraft guns, and the Borisovlek-2 electronic warfare platform designed to detect and jam hostile UAVs. The Russians were confident the depot was untouchable. They had not counted on a different kind of weapon set, one built from human intelligence, commercial imagery, low-cost unmanned systems, deception, and adaptive operators. For 12 days, Ukrainian planners assembled a picture of the site. Commercial satellite imagery provided detailed overhead views. A Leah-100 UAV conducting SIGINT at altitude mapped emissions from air defenses and EW assets. Local partisan networks supplied HUMINT on vehicle movements and warehouse contents. Those sources converged on a chilling estimate: roughly 2 million pounds of ammunition staged for the coming offensive. With that confirmation, planners built a redundant, layered plan designed to expose the depot at the moment of greatest vulnerability.
Key to the approach was deception. Ukrainian teams broadcast fabricated radio chatter on frequencies Moscow was known to monitor, hinting at a large Ukrainian ground operation near Kherson, 100 miles west of Malipole. The diversion worked. Elite units were repositioned toward the false threat, and tactical attention shifted. Next, decoys took the stage. 5 inexpensive $200 drones, programmed to simulate a much larger swarm, were launched several miles from the depot and broadcast radar and radio signatures that mimicked higher-end systems. Russian operators reacted exactly as expected. Panzer batteries engaged, expending 57 costly interceptor missiles in a futile attempt to destroy what they believed was the main threat. While the defenders chased phantoms, the real strike element approached. 15 specially modified long-endurance platforms were poised along the infiltration route, but the decisive instrument that night was a hybrid FPV craft, a Reboth model, carrying a 10-pound shape charge. Its operator used a Starlink uplink and a fiber-optic tether to maintain a secure, unjammable link as the drone flew low, hugging terrain and following riverbeds to remain below radar horizons. When the decoys drew the defenders' gaze and expensive interceptors aloft, the Reboth moved into position. The approach was far from simple. A 20-knot crosswind demanded continuous micro-adjustments by the autopilot and manual intervention by the pilot. A Russian FPV patrol spotted a thermal signature 2 miles out, prompting the Borisovlek-2 to intensify jamming. The Reboth's fiber tether snagged on a power line, and then a nearby rocket salvo sent shockwaves that threatened the cable. Operators improvised. They used the snag as a pivot to swing the drone behind a warehouse, masking it from visual and thermal observation. Partisans activated a laser decoy to distract the approaching patrol drone. In those tens of seconds, human skill, AI assistance, local actors, and redundancy in communications held the mission together. When the target truck, known to carry 6 naval infantry and members of an Akhmat V UAV team, pulled up before the warehouse as predicted, the trap was set. The Panzer batteries remained engaged on the decoys. The depot's close defenses were fixated elsewhere.
The reboth accelerated to 37 miles per hour, using ruined structures for cover, and struck the truck's engine block. Its shaped charge ignited the vehicle's fuel tank and, critically, triggered the chain reaction within the depot. 2 million pounds of ammunition detonated in a catastrophic conflagration. The initial blast produced secondary detonations, grad rockets cooking off for 3 minutes, obliterating warehouses and rendering the facility a total loss by the time emergency teams could respond.
The tactical, operational, and strategic effects were immediate and stark. Logistically, the strike severed a critical supply artery between Crimea and Zaporizhia, denying replenishment for an estimated 10,000 troops and removing roughly 3 weeks' worth of munition stockpiles. Financially, the return on investment was enormous. A $500 drone and inexpensive decoys neutralized assets valued at roughly $500 million. Psychologically, the operation undermined Moscow's narrative of secure rear areas and forced a recalibration of plans tied to the seized ammunition. Internationally, the timing undercut Russia's leverage at the approaching summit. Several lessons emerge from the Malipole strike. First, it demonstrates how integrating disparate intelligence sources, commercial satellites, UAV SIGINT, and local HUMINT, can reveal a target's true value and vulnerability. Second, electronic warfare and deception can be used not only to blind defenders, but to shape their behavior, convincing them to waste high-value munitions on feints and open gaps elsewhere. Third, low-cost, commercially available systems, when employed with robust human oversight and redundancy in communications, can achieve disproportionate effects against high-value, hardened targets. Finally, the operation underscores the value of contingency planning. The team anticipated jamming, thermal detection, cable snags, and shock waves from collateral strikes, and prepared layered responses for each. For military analysts, Malipole is a case study in how small, agile forces exploit the coupling of information, deception, and precision effects to rewrite operational outcomes. It proves that layered defenses relying on expensive kinetic interceptors and EW coverage can be outmaneuvered by asymmetric combinations of cheap hardware and superior situational awareness. That vulnerability does not erase the value of sophisticated air defenses, but it does require rethinking how those systems are employed against saturation, deception, and hybrid command links. Beyond tactics and technology, the operation also highlighted a persistent moral dimension in modern conflict. Ukrainian teams deliberately timed the strike to blunt an immediate offensive threat while taking steps within the fog and speed of war to minimize unnecessary civilian harm. After the blast, rescuers and medics treated wounded combatants when it was feasible to do so, underscoring that even amid strategic blows, humanity can persist. The Malipole depot strike will long be studied not only for the explosive spectacle it produced, but for what it revealed about contemporary warfare. That intelligence fusion, electronic misdirection, and low-cost precision tools can combine to produce strategic outcomes that once would have required far larger platforms and budgets. A single $500 drone did not win a war that night, but in 94 seconds, it shifted the balance on a front and rewrote the operational timeline, an outcome that echoed far beyond the smoking crater it left behind.